As you guys know, they nerfed the warrior to the ground, and that means we're gonna have to figure out a new build once again. And as much as I hope they actually fix this because they kinda screwed the warrior once again, I kinda don't wanna make this guide again. I already had to do it and it didn't last 2 days and they nerfed it to the ground. So yeah, let's take a look at what the build now I think it should be. Very quickly, let me show you the nerfs that I'm talking about. Everybody theorized that tier 1 was gonna be best in slot next phase because you can get the tier 1 set bonuses in tier 2. And Blizzard, instead of improving tier 2, they actually nerfed tier 2 again and they just cut tier 1 in half. Imagine you complain to your landlord that your toilet doesn't work. And then he just tells you, well, go pee on the sink. And then he also breaks the sink with a hammer because you cannot have either one of them apparently. As you can see right here, 10% damage got cut in half, 10% crit got cut in half. So tier 1 is essentially useless. We go to tier 2. They remove the damage bonus of Wield, even though it doesn't generate any rage or mess with anything else on your kit, and it was like not even that strong a bonus. And they changed it into Heroic Strike deals 10% more damage. Now if we take a look at the code they are showing on Wowhead, that actually means that the totality of Heroic Strike and not the bonus damage is gonna be increased, and that's actually a really good bonus if you think about it. I am just salty that they just don't wanna let us whirlwind on battle stance. I am still upset, but overall I think the build is gonna be pretty easy to figure out here. Of course it is still going to be Fury and it will be even more than before that you're gonna have to go dual wield. You are still missing a Hands rune for two-hander Fury, they still haven't fixed that, so yeah, we're gonna have to go dual wield Fury like before. Very quick with the talents, we're gonna take Cruelty, 5% crit, it explains itself. Then we're gonna take Unbridled Wrath. You can go for Booming Voice if you wanna nitpick it. If you wanna go for free Battle Shout, you can go for it. I like Rage, I guess, I am a bit of a jerk. Then we're gonna take Battle Shout for free attack power, obviously. We're gonna take Enrage because we need it for the talent down here. We're gonna take Death Wish because it's 20% more damage on a cooldown. Who doesn't want 20% damage for the love of Christ? Then we are gonna take 5 points in dual wield specialization. We're gonna take all the points in flurry for 30% attack speed every time we crit. We're gonna crit a lot. 1 point in Bloodthirst. Bloodthirst is still very important because you can still get a reset on the combo. That's your set bonus that you can get random resets on Bloodthirst, and it's really strong because Bloodthirst is the second hardest hitting ability in the game, after Pyroblast of course. But yes, that's pretty standard. Then down here we're gonna take Rend because we need deep wounds. We're gonna take 2 points in Heroic Strike. We're gonna take Tactical Mastery because we need anger management, it generates even more rage. They still haven't fixed the tooltip, I gotta say it every video because people get upset. It generates 1 rage every 3 seconds. They forgot to write it in the tooltip. I don't know why, it's been 20 years and they still haven't fixed it. Then we're gonna take Deep Wounds, that's a big scaler right there. We are not going to take Overpower since we are going dual wield. We are actually gonna double down on the Heroic Strike right here. And baboom, we're gonna take Impale because that's 20% every time we crit of course. And we are gonna take 2 points in Execute because Execute will be back on a rotation now. Now for the runes, we're gonna take for the head Endless Rage, 25% rage, 25% more Heroic Strikes, that's just a no-brainer right there. We're gonna be taking for the back Fresh Meat because that's 10% more damage. For the chest, we're gonna be taking Raging Blow. Fresh Meat is gonna enrage you and that means we're gonna get free Raging Blows all the time. For the bracers, we're gonna be taking Rampage because it is 10% more attack power. Who doesn't want 10% more attack power? For the hands, obviously, we're gonna take Single-Minded Fury because 10% more damage and 10% more attack speed is super busted. For the belt, we're gonna take Blood Surge. We're gonna be doing Heroic Strike, Bloodthirst, and Whirlwind a lot, and that means we're gonna be able to get free slams, and slams are just in the same boat as Raging Blow. They are a free full weapon swing, and that's really strong. For the legs, we're gonna be taking Consumed by Rage, which is gonna let our Whirlwind hit with the main hander and the off-hander, so we're gonna scale a lot better. And for the feet, you can take whatever. They are not for damage here. You can take Rallying Cry, I guess. That's the utility one. And obviously, for the rings, you gotta take your 2 weapons. You got, I don't know, an axe and a sword. You take axe and you take sword, and that's it. Your stat priority is gonna be the same stat priority as always, and that means we gotta go for that 6% hit. You can go over the cap, and it will help you get a couple more rage generation of your offhand because it will miss less often when you don't have Heroic Strike queued, but you should have Heroic Strike queued the whole time anyway, so just probably wanna stick to 6%, that's pretty much it. They added 2% hit to Rat now to the tier 2 set, so we are probably gonna go over the cap even though we don't wanna go to the cap anymore just because of how it works. But that's something worth considering, that's like a a change they did like 2 days ago or a day ago. Then after that we wanna get strength or attack power. Of course we scale very well with it. Bloodthirst does a quadrillion damage. And after that we're gonna take agility and crit, because crit is gonna scale very well of our execute. That's number 1, and that's also gonna give us a lot more rage, because every time we crit that white hit gets more rage. So far that's pretty standard. What changed a little bit is the rotation. Number 1 in the priority is gonna be Bloodthirst, because if we got the 6th set, that's gonna mean it's gonna reset and we wanna blow it as soon as possible because it hits the hardest. After that we're gonna do Whirlwind, because it still hits with both weapons, and even though they nerfed it 10%, it still hits harder than a slam or a raging blow. Of course, next in the priority is gonna be the Blood Source procs. Whenever you get a free slam, you're gonna use it. I'm gonna drop a weak aura in the Discord that tells you when it procs so you can see and do it. After that we're gonna go for Raging Blow. We got like so many ways to proc Raging Blow now. You got Berserker Rage, you got Fresh Meat, you got Consumed by Rage, you got Blood Rage. It should be really easy for you to stay enraged the whole fight or very close to it. But I will also drop a weak aura in the Discord that's gonna tell you when you're enraged, just in case. I also got one for the cooldown of Raging Blow. Not very necessary anymore. It was more of a big deal to keep track of it in phase 2 because you only had like one enrage, but it's still handy, I guess. Finally, 2 caveats. You wanna queue Heroic Strike as much as possible. The rule of thumb, you can go for it, and I'm sure you can get a lot more technical if you wanted to, but that's not worth it. Just do Heroic Strike if you're over 20 or 25 rage. That's pretty much the rule of thumb you gotta follow. If you go over that number, you gotta queue it. That's basically it. Second thing, and this is also gonna need a weak aura that I will have in the Discord, you gotta keep Rampage up. Rampage is 10% attack power. You cannot go without 10% attack power. That's one of the stupidest abilities in the game. So of course you're gonna have to keep track of it and to keep it up as much as possible. Once again, since you are enraged the whole time, it shouldn't be that hard to keep it up. And of course for the execute phase, we're gonna queue Heroic Strike and then we're gonna spam execute. That's the cold simple rotation. If you get into a situation where you cannot queue Heroic Strike or you cannot execute, but you get a Blood Source proc or a Raging Blow, those are free of course, so do those instead. But your execute should still hit harder than a Raging Blow or a slam. By the time we get to AQ, or maybe even by the time we get full tier 2 best in slot, I haven't done the math yet, but it should be getting to that level. It will get eventually worth it to do one of those. There is a certain threshold, and once again I do not know the number, it's pretty high, where a slam or a Raging Blow is gonna do more damage than execute, but we are definitely not there yet, so just execute and Heroic Strike and that's pretty much it. As you can see, one of the perks of this build, one of the really cool things is that you can stay on Berserker stance the whole time now, and that's definitely really nice, but it is still quite problematic. You are basically not taking advantage of your 2 set at all. Your 2 set is that when you overpower, you get a reset on your rend. We're neither rending nor overpowering this in dual wield. That's a 2-hander ability, but the changes of the set will actually turn the tide for dual wielders again. Even though your Whirlwind hits way harder than Heroic Strike, you are gonna do a lot more Heroic Strike in a fight than Whirlwinds. Every swing almost should be pretty much at this point, and 10% extra on that is gonna be better than 10% extra on Whirlwind, where you're only doing it every 10 seconds. If you take a look at the logs, by the way people, I know we're upset at the changes, but take a look at this. The ranks are full of warriors. Warriors are still fine. I can't believe I got to remind you every phase that even with the changes that warriors are still gonna be really strong. But if you take a look at the logs of the number 1 warrior right now, Heroic Strike is more than 4 times the damage in a fight that Whirlwind is gonna do. Actually a little less, there is 2 Whirlwinds because you hit with the offhand now, and apparently that counts as a separate ability, but still. The new 4 set is a buff, and I got no doubt that with the new weapons and we approach crit cap every so often, every closer, every phase, that warriors are gonna absolutely destroy Blackwing Lair. So don't get too upset, okay? Actually get upset, but get upset on Twitter, okay? Pretend you're really upset so they buff us. Subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.